Hello everyone, welcome to PM Networking. Hope you all are doing great. Guys, many of my subscribers were requesting me to make one video on native VLAN. So many people have dot in tagged traffic, in untagged traffic, in the concept of native VLAN. So through this video, through this short video, I am going to explain you these things like what do you mean by untagged traffic on trunk link? What do you mean by tagged traffic on trunk link? What is native VLAN? What is the concept of native VLAN? How attacker can attack your network with the help of native VLAN as well. So without wasting our time, let's begin. Let's start our topic. So here, first of all, I am going to design one network, and suppose I have two switch. This one is my switch 1 and this one is switch 2. And suppose there are some computer which is connected to this switch, computer A, computer B, computer C, and let's say computer D. There are 4 computers. Here also there are few computers, computer A, computer B, computer C, computer D. Okay, so or we can count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, 8 computers are there. And suppose MAC address of this computer is A, MAC address of this computer is B, MAC address of this computer is C, MAC address of this computer is D. MAC address of this computer is suppose P, Q, R, S. Just suppose, we can assume anything, right? Now, suppose this one is 0/0 port of this switch, not 0/0. We can consider 0/1, 0/2, 0/3, and 0/4. So these two ports are suppose member of VLAN 10, and these two ports are member of VLAN 20. Right? Means these two computer belongs to VLAN 10 and these two computer belongs to VLAN 20. As you know, VLAN stands for virtual local area network. With the help of VLAN, we can divide local area network virtually. Right? So actually we are using VLAN to divide large broadcast domain to a smaller broadcast domain. In the same way, suppose this one is also 0/1, 0/2, 0/3, and 0/4. These two ports are suppose member of VLAN 10 and these two ports are member of VLAN 20. Let's say. So to make communication possible between user who are connected with switch 1 to the user who are connected with switch 2, we need to connect two link over here, right? One for VLAN 10 and one for VLAN 20. So suppose on this switch, if there are user of 10 VLAN, so we need to connect 10 link between switch 1 and switch 2. So this is not possible to connect 10 link. It will be very costly, right? And suppose there can be more than 10 VLAN as well on switch. So we need to connect the number of cable equal to the number of VLANs exist on switch. So without connecting one separate cable for each VLAN, what we can do, we can connect a single cable and we can configure this link as trunk link. Because as you know, by default, all ports of switch are access port and member of which VLAN? VLAN 1. All ports of switch are member of VLAN 1. That means all ports can support traffic of VLAN 1 only by default. By default, all ports of switch can support traffic of VLAN 1 only. So this port will also support traffic of VLAN 1 only, and this port will also support traffic of VLAN 1 only, right? That means VLAN 10 user cannot send traffic on this link. In the same way, VLAN 20 user can also not send traffic on this link, right? So there are two types of switch port. First one is access port and second one is trunk port. So by default, port role of all switch ports is access port, but we can configure ports as trunk link. So what is the difference between access port and trunk port? Access port are the port which can carry traffic of single VLAN, right? As you know, by default all ports are member of VLAN 1, and trunk port are the port which can support traffic of all VLANs. So by default, this port is member of VLAN 1. In the same way, this port is also member of VLAN 1. But I want to support traffic of all VLAN on these two ports. So what we can configure it? Trunk. Trunk over here also and trunk over here also. Okay. So I am explaining from very scratch. So even you don't know anything, you can also understand what I am saying. Switch port is, there are two types of switch port. First one is access port and second one is trunk port. Access port are the port which can support the traffic of single VLAN, and trunk port are the port which can support the traffic of all VLANs, right? So here on switch 1 and switch 2, you can see these two ports are trunk port. Apart from these two ports, all ports are access port. Like these two ports are access port for which VLAN? For VLAN 10. These two ports are access port for VLAN 20. In the same way, these two ports are access port for VLAN 10 and these two ports are access port for VLAN 20. Fine. Now, so once you have configured trunk, right, on switch 1 and switch 2, we need to define a protocol over here. So first of all, understand why we need to run a protocol, right, on the trunk port. Because suppose if this user want to communicate with this user, fine, this user whose MAC address is A want to communicate with the user whose MAC address is P, right? So source will be A, destination will be P. What will baby, and you can assume any IP address, source IP and destination IP. I am not talking about the routing now, right? Let's focus on switching only, right? Source MAC will be A, destination MAC will be P, right? This traffic will receive by switch 1. So switch V1 will receive this traffic on this port on 0/1 port, and switch will check that my receiving interface is member of which VLAN. So this receiving interface is member of which VLAN? This receiving interface is member of VLAN 10. That means this switch will forward this traffic from the port which is member of same VLAN only. Or switch can do one more thing. Definitely this switch will forward this traffic from the port who is also member of VLAN 10, because this is traffic of VLAN 10. And here you can see there is one trunk link. So trunk link is member of all VLAN. That means this port is also member of VLAN 10, right? So it will forward from this port also, and it can forward from the ports which are member of same VLAN, VLAN 10. So on switch will receive this frame on this interface. It will check that this my receiving interface is member of which VLAN. As you know, switch maintain MAC address table to forward frame. In MAC address table, switch maintain port number, VLAN, right? These things. So receiving interface is member of VLAN 10. So this switch will think that I will forward this traffic either from the port which is member of same VLAN or from the port which is trunk. So this port is trunk, so switch will forward from this port as well, right? Because here on this port only switch will learn this MAC address, right? As you know how switch build MAC address table. If you don't know that how switch will learn P MAC address on this port, suppose this is 0/5, this is 0/5. On 0/5 port, then you need to understand how switch build MAC address table, okay? So now I am not discussing how switch build MAC address table. Here I am discussing concept of trunk, tagged traffic and untagged traffic. Fine. So from here, switch is going to forward this frame. So when switch 2 will receive this frame on this port where source is A and destination is P, right? How switch 2 will came to know that this is a traffic of which VLAN? Because this port is trunk port. This port is member of all VLAN, right? So this switch 2 can not identify the VLAN ID of this frame, that this frame is coming for which VLAN. For that, this switch have to add one tag here, tag. So before, whenever switch will forward traffic on trunk link, before forwarding, before exit, switch will add one header, a small header. There they will put the information of VLAN with frame. So this is my actual frame, and here switch will add one tag of VLAN 10, right? So if in networking, devices is doing something automatically. That means we are running and some protocol there, right? So for this encapsulation, right, for adding VLAN tagging, we have two types of protocol. First one is ISL and second one is .1Q. ISL, nowadays we are using .1Q because there are many advantages of using .1Q over ISL. Okay, ISL is a Cisco proprietary and this one is open standard, right? .1Q. We have less header size in .1Q. We have large header size in ISL. So these are the reason why we are using .1Q for the encapsulation. So on trunk link we will configure .1Q encapsulation protocol. Responsibility of this protocol is to add VLAN before sending frame on trunk link. And other responsibility is remove tagging when receiving frame on trunk link. That means when switch 1 will forward frame from this trunk port, switch will add tagging there will be information of VLAN 10, and when switch number 2 will receive, this protocol will remove this tagging, and the switch 2 will come to know that this is traffic of which VLAN 10 with the help of tag number. So it will forward this traffic from this port, because definitely this switch will learn this MAC address on this particular port. This is how this protocol perform encapsulation and decapsulation, and this is guys tagging. This is tagging. Why tagging is required? So how interviewer can ask you question from here that why tagging is required, how tagging is worth, how many protocols we have for the tagging on the trunk link, right? They can ask you scenario based question that this port is trunk, this port is access port, right? Or maybe this port is member of VLAN 10, this port is member of VLAN 20. So can VLAN 10 user communicate with VLAN 20 user, right? There are multiple scenarios inside this topology, yes or no? So interviewer is really asking these type of question in interview nowadays, right? And many of my subscribers were requesting me as well. That's why I'm making this video here. Fine. So first thing, till now we have learned that there are two types of switch port. First one is access, second one is trunk. Access port can support traffic of single VLAN and trunk port can support traffic of multiple VLAN, right? So if whenever we will send traffic on trunk link, or you can say whenever switch will forward traffic on trunk link, switch need to perform encapsulation, switch need to perform tagging, so that receiver switch can identify the VLAN ID of that frame, right? For that, for the tagging, we have two types of protocol, ISL and .1Q. Nowadays, we are using .1Q. Here, I am not going to discuss difference between .1Q and ISL. I have already made a lot of video on these things, right? After that, whenever switch will receive frame on trunk link, switch will perform decapsulation. Switch will remove tagging, right? So this is concept of tagging, how switch will add tagging. Fine. Now guys, there is concept of native VLAN now. Suppose native, first of all understand what is native VLAN. This native VLAN is a special type of VLAN on switches, right? By default on each switch, Cisco switches, VLAN 1 is exist, and by default VLAN 1 is your native VLAN. Suppose on a switch there are 500 user. What I am saying, on a switch there are 500 user. Out of 500 user, 400 user belongs to native VLAN, VLAN 1, right? So what I want, that for a particular special VLAN, switch should not perform tagging on trunk link, because whenever switch will perform tagging, right, that means switch will use their CPU utilization, and if switch will add tagging and remove tagging again and again, maybe CPU utilization can be high. So as you know, when CPU utilization of switch will increase, then performance of switch will automatically decrease, right? So we have to take care of this switch, the performance of this switch, about the CPU utilization of switch. That switch is make sure that switch is using less than 70% or 60% CPU utilization, so that your traffic, your user can experience a smooth network. Yes or no? So what I want that for 400 user who belongs to VLAN 1 or maybe who belong to any other VLAN, right? For that I don't want to perform tagging on trunk link. So what I can do, I can make that VLAN where we have lots of user to native VLAN. Suppose on this switch there are 400 user belongs to, suppose 400 user belongs to VLAN 50, right? So I can configure VLAN 50 as native VLAN on this switch. So once we will configure VLAN 50 as native VLAN, switch will stop perform tagging for VLAN 50. So native VLAN is a special type of VLAN. For that VLAN you don't want to perform tagging on trunk link to reduce the CPU utilization. But with the help of native VLAN, attacker can attack in your network as well. Suppose I am attacker here and I am also connected with this switch, right? And I know what is the native VLAN on this switch. So suppose native VLAN is 10. So what I can do, I can generate a frame where I will add tag number 10. So when switch will receive, switch will think what? This is traffic of native VLAN, right? This is traffic, suppose VLAN 50. This is traffic of native VLAN. So switch will not perform tagging over here. It will simply forward to switch 2. And whenever any switch will receive a frame on trunk link without tag, that means whenever switch will receive untagged frame on trunk link, switch will understand that this is a traffic of native VLAN, because for only native VLAN switch will not perform tagging while transmitting. So while receiving, if switch will not found tag number with traffic, that means this is traffic of native VLAN. So simply this switch can forward this traffic to the user who is sitting in same VLAN, right? So there will be no tag. And suppose there is one server who is in your native VLAN. So this switch can simply forward the frame to this server. Whose frame? Attacker frame. And attacker can put some virus here, right? They can down your server. So with the help of native VLAN, attacker can attack as well. This is a concept of VLAN hopping. I have already made one video on VLAN hopping as well. You can check my playlist, right? You can search in YouTube that native VLAN PM networking. You will find my video. Okay. Here I am not going to discuss VLAN hopping as well. I am just discussing what is the concept of tagged and untagged traffic. So switch will send untagged traffic on the trunk link only for native VLAN user, right? And for all other users, switch will perform tagging every time. Okay, so this is concept of trunk link, encapsulation protocol, and tagging, tagged traffic and untagged traffic. Okay, now I am asking some questions. Suppose I have two switch 1 and switch 2. Here is one traffic, here is one user, here is also one user, here is also one user. Okay, this port is member of VLAN 10, this port is member of VLAN 20, right? This port is member of VLAN 10, this port is member of VLAN 20, VLAN 10, VLAN 20. So tell me, can VLAN 10 user communicate with VLAN 10 user who is sitting on switch number 2? Suppose his MAC address is A and his MAC address is B. So let me know in comment, can PC whose MAC address A communicate with the PC whose MAC address is B? Okay, suppose here I have configured trunk and this port is member of, suppose, VLAN 1. Okay, what will happen? Or you can consider like, just I am asking question that interviewer is asking in interview. Suppose here I have configured native VLAN 10 and here native VLAN is default, that is 1, right? Here are some user. So what will happen? This is my trunk link. On trunk link, only native VLAN will work, right? So concept of VLAN is on trunk link, of native VLAN is on trunk link, right? So if on this trunk link, here I have configured on this switch native VLAN is 10 and here suppose native VLAN is 1. So what error you will get? Can this user communicate with this user? Yes or no? So this type of question interviewer is asking and you need to practice as well. You can create multiple topology, multiple scenario based question from this topology as well. And you can take more than 2 switches as well. Suppose this is my switch 1, switch 2, switch 3 and switch 4. Okay, this is how switches are connected. Okay, here also in this topology also interviewer can ask you question. Suppose there is one user, right, and I have disabled as a spanning tree protocol from all ports, and manually we have run shutdown command on the backup path. Manually network engineer have done the backup path so that loop will not create in this topology, and then to the active path we have configured here. Suppose this link is trunk and this link is access link, right? So can these two users communicate like by using this path? This type of question. Okay, and guys, if you want to learn these type of scenario based question or concepts in very details, right, in very details, right, I am going to start batch of CCNP in Core Plus in NARC, where we will meet live for 2 hours a day and for 2 months, means for 60 days, right, for 60 days, where we will discuss core routing switching with basic knowledge of automation, security, wireless. Okay, so if you are interested, fee of this training is 10,000. Okay, so if anyone is interested to learn these things in details, right, everything in detail, right, so you can enroll for this training program. I am allowing only 20 students. Actually, you know, just I want to create a group of 20 people and and then we want to meet live every day for 2 months, and in 2 months we are going to discuss, we are going to learn the core concept of routing and switching in very details, right, so that if anyone wants job, right, in IT industry, or if anyone want to promotion by using the core knowledge of routing switching with security knowledge, wireless knowledge, automation knowledge, they can take their self to the next level within less time, right? So if you are interested, you can enroll. My number is 8511826341 here +91. So you can let me know on WhatsApp, or my website is www.tmnetworking.in. You can visit there for the enrollment procedure. Okay guys, if you like this video, please hit on like button. If you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe this channel. That's all for today. We will meet soon in next video, and if you want video on any other topic, let me know in comment. Bye bye.